My life had been tethered to an arrangement made when I was just a child. A promise of marriage to Khloe Preston, the eldest daughter of the powerful Preston family. This union was supposed to be the key to a future fortune, a merger of two influential houses. For the sake of that potential, I had spent the last 5 years of my life playing the part of a devoted admirer, a loyal shadow who followed her every move. My persistence finally paid off when she agreed to an engagement, but it came with a significant condition. We would live entirely separate lives, with absolutely no interference in each other's affairs. Standing arm in arm with her latest romantic interest, she had casually posed the question to me, as if discussing the weather. "All these marriages in wealthy families are like this," she'd said, her tone light and unconcerned. "You're okay with that, right?" I remember hesitating, a wave of conflict washing over me. The offer was tempting, a clear path to the security I craved, but I knew her sister, Clara, might not approve of such a cold arrangement. Over those 5 years, my role as her admirer had been all-encompassing. I had cooked meals for her, prepared soothing soups when she was unwell, and provided alibis for her secret relationships, even running interference with her parents. My duties extended to buying medicine, washing her clothes, and acting as her personal chauffeur and occasional babysitter for her younger cousins. I had endured biting winds and pouring rain for her sake. No one could claim to be as dedicated as I was. A perfect example was tonight, or rather, this freezing early morning at the racetrack. I stood quietly at the edge of the track, clad only in a thin t-shirt, my skin pale and chilled, but I waited patiently. The deafening roar of engines grew louder until a sleek black race car screeched to a halt directly in front of me, its tires smoking. The other cars were only just now appearing in the distance, far behind. Khloe pulled off her helmet, her hair spilling over her shoulders. She gave me a cool, almost indifferent glance before turning to introduce the handsome racer standing beside her. The way her eyes softened when she looked at him was a familiar, painful sight. My own eyes began to well up, but I forced a smile onto my face and stepped forward to greet her. "I brought you some soup, Khloe," I said, my voice steady. "You should drink a little so you don't catch a cold." The man next to her, Marcus, let out a mocking chuckle. "Khloe, your admirer, is quite the traditionalist, isn't he? More soup? He's not tired of making it, but I'm getting tired of just hearing about you drinking it. Can't he think of anything new?" Khloe laughed, a dismissive sound that cut deeper than any insult. "Didn't I tell you not to come, Leo?" Humiliation washed over me, and I lowered my head, biting my lip. "Your mother was worried, so she asked me to bring you home," I mumbled. Khloe's expression soured with irritation, her voice sharp with impatience. "I'm not going back tonight. Just leave, and don't bring this stuff again. Marcus doesn't like it." Marcus tossed his helmet from one hand to the other, a self-satisfied smirk on his face. By now, Khloe's friends had gathered around, and they were watching the scene unfold with expressions that mixed pity with a strange sort of fascination. Overwhelmed by embarrassment, I turned and walked away. I saw Khloe watch my retreating back, taking an involuntary step forward as if to say something, but Marcus caught her arm and pulled her along. "Let's go, we've got drinks waiting for us." Her friends laughed, crowding around the new couple. Someone called out, "Khloe, you're so heartless. What if he actually leaves you for good this time?" She just chuckled, her voice carrying on the cold air. "I wish he would. Then he'd finally stop bothering me." Everyone laughed at that, probably wondering why a young master from the Harrison family, like myself, would stoop so low for a woman who treated him so poorly. What they didn't see was the moment I turned my back. My pained expression vanished, replaced by a cool indifference. They had, in a way, hit the nail on the head. Why would a young master choose this life? Because I was a fake young master, and that was the whole truth of it. Up until I was 17, I lived the privileged life of a pampered prince. Then, my mother became pregnant with my brother. It was during that time that I accidentally overheard a conversation between my parents. "We've looked after him for so long," my father said. "He should repay us someday." My mother sighed. If only back then. Their words were incomplete, but they were enough to set off alarm bells in my mind. I remembered a classmate once joking that I looked nothing like my parents. Driven by a gnawing suspicion, I secretly had a paternity test done. The results confirmed it. I was not their biological son. They never told me, and I pretended that I didn't know. But I felt their love and resources slowly being redirected away from me. Even when Khloe and I had disagreements, my father would force me to be the one to apologize, constantly reminding me that Khloe was my prearranged fiancé, a pact made by his grandfather, and that I had to get along with her. The Harrisons had provided me with a life of comfort and luxury, and I couldn't afford to be willful or defiant. It was then that I finally understood. They had adopted me to replace their son, who had been stillborn, specifically to fulfill the arranged marriage with the Prestons. My mother's health issues had made having another child seem unlikely, so I was their solution. My new brother was an unexpected miracle for them, but for me, he sealed my fate. My parents' plan was clear. I was to be used to pave the way for my biological brother and to secure the Harrison family's alliance with the Prestons. With this realization, I decided I had to look out for myself. On the surface, I appeared to be completely infatuated with Khloe, but behind the scenes, I was quietly moving assets and building my own foundation elsewhere. This strategy proved to be the correct one. I learned that for women like Khloe, the things they can't have are often the most desirable. The moment I started to ignore her, she would seek out my attention in every way possible. But as soon as I responded, her sense of superiority would return. Relying on one woman was a path to ruin, but diversifying my options offered far more opportunities. Publicly, I continued my pursuit of Khloe, but privately, I was discreetly assessing her circle of friends and their family connections. Many of them began to take notice of me, but Khloe, wrapped up in her own world, remained completely oblivious. As I left the racetrack, my phone buzzed with a series of messages. They were from Khloe's close friends, offering words of comfort. I replied to them with a blank expression, about to toss the thermos of soup into a nearby trash can when a hand reached out from behind me and took it. I turned, surprised, and found myself looking at a completely unexpected person. Clara, Khloe's older sister. She handed me a new men's coat, her movements understated and natural. As I put it on, its warmth spread through me, a welcome relief from the cold. Her clear voice brought me back to the present. "It's late autumn. You're not dressed warmly enough." "Thank you," I said. "You're welcome." A cold wind gusted past, and I instinctively pulled the coat tighter around me. Looking up at her, I was struck by the resemblance she bore to Khloe, yet their entire auras were worlds apart. One was a rebellious fire, the other a serene winter queen. In truth, I had always admired Clara more for her calm, collected demeanor. Moreover, she was the most promising candidate among all the potential partners I had been secretly evaluating. The Prestons were the most powerful family in our city, and Khloe's mother was the current CEO of their corporation. This connection explained my father's insistence on the engagement. Logically, Khloe was the heir apparent, but her wild and unruly behavior often angered their grandfather. Clara, on the other hand, had taken a failing overseas subsidiary and revitalized it in just 2 years, turning it into a profitable venture. The succession wasn't set in stone, and I knew the old man would ultimately do what was best for the family's legacy. This thought sparked a new kind of appreciation in my gaze as I looked at her. Clara's expression shifted subtly. "Need a ride home?" she asked. I raised an eyebrow. This was a perfect opportunity for further investigation. "I don't really feel like going home right now," I said softly, injecting a note of dejection into my voice. She studied me for a couple of seconds, her voice remaining calm and casual. "Want to go to my place, then?" I mentally celebrated. She was playing right into my hands. The car was heated to a perfect 26 degrees Celsius, exactly how I liked it. I adjusted my seat to a comfortable angle, and just then, a song I had shared online a few days ago began to play through the speakers. I looked over at her in surprise. The dim interior lights softened the sharp angles of her face. Our eyes met, and she offered a slight, knowing smile. "It's a nice song." My heart did a little flip. I remembered an evening 3 years ago. Back then, I hadn't yet mastered the art of controlling my emotions. After another frustrating day spent catering to Khloe's whims, I had gone to a bar to drink myself into oblivion. Clara had found me there. We weren't close friends. She was a year older, and I only ever saw her when she was with Khloe. She'd always seemed distant, so I never made an effort to get to know her. She had asked me a simple question: "Do you really like Khloe that much?" I hadn't thought about my answer. I just yelled, "Like Khloe! Even a dog would want to pee on her." She was silent for a moment before asking, "Then why do you keep seeing her?" I couldn't hold back the truth. "Because she's the heiress to the Preston fortune. If you could take her down, I'd be all over you instead." That night, my anger had been uncontrollable. Before I could say anything more, she had covered my mouth and practically carried me out of the bar. The next day, I was sick with worry, terrified she would tell her grandfather what I'd said. As I nervously tried to find the right words to apologize, she had suddenly laughed and said, "Leo, you have my word." Soon after, she went abroad and quickly rose through the corporate ranks, becoming the rising star everyone in our city was betting on. We hadn't interacted much since then, just exchanging polite greetings during holidays. But remembering what she had said then, and seeing her actions today, I started to suspect she might have feelings for me. I couldn't help but smirk. Life really was full of surprises. Clara brought me to a spacious apartment. The decor was stylish and minimalistic, done in shades of gray and white that perfectly matched my own taste. She moved with a natural grace, pouring the chicken soup from my thermos into a bowl and placing it in front of me. "Drink some, it's still warm," she said. I tried to stop her. "Don't drink that. It's something someone else didn't want." She took a sip without even flinching. "It's good. If Khloe didn't want it, that's her loss." Feeling a pang of guilt, I averted my gaze. I decided it was probably best not to tell her it was basically just dishwater at this point. "Where am I sleeping tonight?" I asked. She simply pointed towards a guest room. As I walked in, a pen on the bedside table immediately caught my eye. It was my old pen from high school. With a mix of feelings, I opened the drawer beneath it and found a brown notebook, something that looked like a diary. I bet it was filled with some long-held secret crush notes about me. I rolled my eyes slightly. If this wasn't placed here for me to find on purpose, I'd eat it. I opened it, and sure enough, every page was filled with pictures of me, a collection of moments from my life that I had shared online over the years. Beneath one of the photos, there was a line written in French. I couldn't understand it. Just as I was about to use my phone to translate it, someone knocked on the guest room door. "I put your toiletries in the bathroom." I turned around quickly, accidentally knocking the pen off the table. When Clara saw the open notebook in my hand, her eyes showed a flicker of panic, confusion, and a dozen other emotions. It was a masterful performance. I knew I couldn't back down now. I pinched my own thigh hard, forcing my eyes to well up with tears. "Clara, you felt this way since then?" She walked over, her expression unreadable. "I'm sorry," I whispered, shaking my head, tears brimming. "I never meant to make things hard for you. All this time I was chasing someone else. But I never knew." The words didn't need to be complete. A skilled listener would fill in the blanks themselves. Clara looked up, her dark brown eyes reflecting my own teary image. Her voice was controlled, yet sincere. "Leo, I've always been here." My eyelids twitched. She was moving fast, but that was fine. Patience was a virtue. I lowered my eyes. "Clara, give me some time, okay?" Her face was gentle as she casually mentioned, "My mother is letting me join the main group as a vice president next week." I almost burst out laughing, but managed to maintain a worried expression. "What about my engagement to Khloe?" "I'll have my mother call it off," she said without hesitation. "I was so moved I could have kissed her. I've thought it through. Let's be together." And just like that, the two of us, a pair of sly opportunists, officially became a couple. After we made it official, I felt fantastic. She just understood me. She knew all my likes and habits, inside and out. Before I could even mention needing new clothes, a dozen outfits that perfectly matched my aesthetic arrived at my apartment. Moreover, she knew that the first thing I needed in the morning was an iced Americano. Her knowledge of my preferences was uncanny. I found myself becoming more and more satisfied with her. People, after all, are best understood through comparison. If Khloe had been as thoughtful and classy as Clara, I wouldn't have minded going through with the engagement and marrying her. I didn't care if my wife loved me or not. All I wanted was material comfort. I had grown up with designer everything, where even my socks cost hundreds of dollars. When I discovered the truth about my parentage, I ran away from home to test my parents' reaction. They simply cut off my credit cards, and I quickly came crawling back. For me, going from a life of luxury to one of frugality is worse than difficult. It's a living hell. I couldn't handle a life of poverty, which is why I would never go against the Harrisons' wishes. I had even spent 5 years humbling myself for Khloe. At this point, I didn't even have any pride left to speak of. Anyway, Clara was dropping me off at the Harrison estate. She seemed like she was about to get out and open the car door for me, but I stopped her just in time. "Maybe we should keep this a secret for now," I suggested. "At least until things settle down." She was smart. She would understand what I meant. We weren't in a position to change the public narrative just yet. She nodded. "I get it." Her eyes dropped, a hint of sadness in them. I smiled, thinking I should reward her for being so understanding. I gently cupped her face and gave her a soft kiss. Her eyelashes fluttered, and I noticed her eyes darken. The next thing I knew, Clara had taken control, gripping the back of my neck and deepening the kiss. Just then, there was a sharp knock on the window. Khloe's voice drifted through the glass. "Clara?" I jumped, accidentally biting Clara's lip hard enough to draw a drop of blood. She didn't budge, her deep gaze hinting at a storm brewing beneath the surface. I calmly helped her wipe the blood away, motioning with my eyes for her to stay quiet as I got out of the car. Khloe saw me and looked a bit surprised, a slight frown creasing her brow. "Leo, why are you in my sister's car?" I walked past her without a word, my expression a carefully constructed mask of sadness, my lips pressed tightly together. Khloe's gaze faltered for a moment, but she didn't say anything more to me. She opened Clara's car door. "Didn't you just get back from your trip? How did you end up with Leo?" Clara replied calmly. "I saw him drinking alone at a bar when I was meeting some friends, so I gave him a ride back." Khloe paused for a few seconds, then sighed. "Seriously, getting drunk over such a small thing," she said. "Anyway, thanks." Clara chuckled softly. "Thanks for what?" "Well," Khloe continued, "Leo was drinking because of me. It wouldn't have looked good if something had happened to him." "You do think highly of yourself," Clara teased. "It's true," Khloe insisted. Hearing this, I rolled my eyes and quickened my pace. As soon as I walked into the house, my mother started questioning me. "Didn't I tell you to go find Khloe? Where have you been all night?" I hid the sarcasm in my eyes, showing only the usual pained and annoyed look she was used to seeing. She just let her new boyfriend mock me. I was so upset. My mom's face changed for a second, but quickly softened. "Leo, Khloe cares about you a lot," she said, her tone gentle. "Otherwise, she wouldn't have come looking for you first thing this morning. She was really worried when she couldn't find you." She pulled me down to sit on the sofa and began a heartfelt talk. "Don't worry. Boys sometimes get curious about new things, but once they're married, they settle down. Your father said it's about time we discussed your engagement with the Prestons. For the sake of the Harrisons, you have to win her heart. Now is not the time for childish fights." Inwardly, I scoffed. Is that all I was worth to them? A tool for an alliance? Outwardly, I let out a dramatic sigh. "If it weren't for our family, I would never put up with her." My mother beamed with satisfaction. "That's my good boy." I blinked, then leaned against her arm and whined a little. "Mom, wooing Khloe is expensive. I also have to bribe her friends. It's only the beginning of the month, and I'm already broke." My mother didn't even flinch. "If you run out, just ask for more. We can't let anyone look down on the Harrisons. By the way, Khloe likes guys who race cars. Maybe give me a little more so I can take some lessons?" She willingly transferred an extra $500,000 to my account. Using Khloe as a pretext never failed. In a way, she had been my cash cow for years, so it was only fair that I honored her with a little drama. Once I was back in my room, I saw a message from Khloe, sent at 8 a.m. "Not home. Where did you go?" I didn't reply. A wave of relief washed over me, knowing I wouldn't have to fake it with her anymore. I hummed a tune as I took another shower, meticulously applying my skincare products and body lotion. Finally, I was ready for a good, long nap. Clara had taken good care of things, but I was picky about where I slept. I guess I would just have to sleep over at her place more often to get used to it. Little did I know, as I drifted into a deep slumber, the ground was already shifting under the Preston family's feet. Back at their ancestral home, Khloe was taking a lashing from her grandmother's cane. "Where have you been fooling around?" "Just racing cars with a few friends," Khloe chuckled, half pleading. "I'm back now, aren't I?" Her grandma eyed her for a long moment, then sighed deeply. "Get out of my sight." Khloe lazily agreed and went upstairs, completely oblivious to the complex expression on her grandmother's face, one of profound disappointment, almost like she was giving up on her. But when the old woman turned to Clara, who stood there like a tall, reliable pillar, her face softened into a grateful smile. "Clara, come with me to the study." "Of course, Grandma." Back in her own room, Khloe felt a strange sense of restlessness. She kept refreshing her messages, but the pinned chat with me remained silent. She typed out a few words, then deleted them all. Why should she rush? She wasn't the one doing the chasing. Besides, this wasn't the worst they had ever fought. He always came back, like a loyal, anxious puppy. It was helplessly endearing and fed her secret sense of security. No matter how much she hurt him, he would never leave. Right? Finally, Khloe felt at ease. She casually descended the stairs and faintly caught her grandmother's voice discussing her marriage to me. She paused for a second, then walked away, unbothered. The engagement had been brought up by her mother recently. It seemed imminent. She mouthed her displeasure, but deep down, a fluttering of joy betrayed her true feelings. Unwittingly, a smile spread across her face. As long as I remained easygoing after the wedding, they could get engaged, just as I wished. In a private room at a high-end club, I was discussing the launch of a new cosmetics company with my old college buddy, Alex. He had majored in both biology and chemistry, graduating with top honors. Now he was starting his own venture, had already gathered a research team, and was looking for investors. I saw the potential and decided to become a shareholder. Alex seemed worried. "Are you sure you want to invest this much? Aren't you afraid of losing it all?" I sipped my drink and smirked. The fact that your potential products are already sitting on the vanities of some of my most influential female friends should boost your confidence. Didn't you study marketing? "Why don't you join the company?" Alex quipped. I declined without a second thought. I'm ambitious. I attend financial seminars, learn about futures and stocks, and scout investment-worthy projects at networking events. Do you really think I have time for a regular job? Alex was speechless. So, this is what it's like to be loaded. He then added, "But I still don't get it. You're so put together when it comes to your life, yet you let yourself get tangled up with someone like her." He could say this because we were close. I raised an eyebrow. "Where do you think your investment money is coming from, huh?" He looked puzzled. I didn't elaborate, just said, "Relax, those days are over." Chloe's grandfather had agreed to call off the childhood engagement. Seeing her behavior over the years, he didn't mind Clara and me getting close. It settled things neatly between the families. When Clara had shared the news with me, I couldn't help but chuckle into my pillow at night. Whatever had happened behind the scenes, I was more than satisfied with the outcome. Alex was shocked, but pleased. He immediately raised his glass to toast me. "Man, that's great news. Here's to success in both business and love." Our glasses clinked melodiously. Cheers. After wrapping things up and heading home, wouldn't you know it, a call from Khloe came through. "I saw you at the club. Come to room 301. "Sure," I said, deciding I wouldn't refuse. She hung up right after. I had been about to block her number, but then I had a change of heart and turned back. I had to share this good news with her. Otherwise, any misunderstanding could get awkward and lead to some uncomfortable situations down the line. With a smirk, I calmly pushed open the door to room 301. The first thing I saw was that cool race car guy, Marcus, sitting next to Khloe. When he saw me, he wrapped his arm around Khloe's waist even tighter, as if marking his territory. The room was silent. Glancing around, I noticed that some of the girls in the room didn't look too happy. Funnily enough, these were the exact same ones I had been dealing with before. Khloe spoke casually. "All right, even if I get engaged to him, it won't affect our feelings, okay?" Marcus whimpered, "Promise me." I rolled my eyes, not even bothering to play along with their little drama. "Hold up. Who's getting engaged to who?" The boy glared at me. "Leo, stop pretending. You're loving this, aren't you? Khloe said she's only getting engaged to you because her family is making her. She doesn't even like you." Khloe chuckled lightly and turned to me. "You've been chasing me for years to fulfill that silly childhood betrothal. As long as you agree, we can live our own lives after marriage without interfering with each other. How about that?" She casually held the boy in her arms, speaking playfully. "Anyway, that's how these rich family alliances work. You don't mind, do you?" The room got so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Everyone was staring at me, trying to spot any hint of embarrassment. But I just paused, showing a bit of conflict. "The deal is tempting, but your sister might not agree." She turned to me sharply, a ridiculous grin forming on her face. "What does this have to do with my sister?" I feigned shock. "Don't you know? Your grandfather already canceled our childhood betrothal." Khloe froze, staring straight at me. Marcus looked stunned for a moment, then thrilled. "Khloe, you don't have to marry him now. That's great." He was pushed back so hard he almost fell flat on the floor. "Seriously, Khloe," I said, laughing internally. "Why are you shouting at your boyfriend?" "He's not my boyfriend." Khloe's voice was tense, slightly shaky. "Leo, what do you mean? What does this have to do with my sister?" I gave her a shy smile. I'm with your sister now. I just came by to share the good news. Seeing how close you two are makes me feel relieved. The race car guy shouted bitterly at me. My name is Marcus. I shrugged. She has so many boyfriends, I get confused. Khloe frowned at me, then suddenly laughed. You didn't have to make up such a bad lie just to save face. I feigned surprise, covering my mouth. Come on, we grew up together. You don't believe me? Even though I'll be your brother-in-law soon? You can call your sister or your grandpa if you want. See? I'm not making this up. Khloe stood stiffly, her face slowly growing pale as the certainty on my face registered. The sharper her expression became, the more amused I was. Brother-in-law? How could you switch sides so easily? What were the past 5 years even for? I looked puzzled. Switch sides? You didn't honestly think I had feelings for you, did you? I was nice to you to fulfill the betrothal. That's all. You're hilarious, yelling at me for giving up on you without expecting anything in return. Even with her angry, broken gaze fixed on me, I just yawned softly. Well, goodbye, everyone. I'm heading home to sleep. Behind me, I heard the loud crash of a bottle smashing against a wall. I didn't even pause. Seeing Clara waiting for me outside the club surprised me a little. What are you doing here? Picking up my boyfriend, of course. That unexpected warmth stirred something inside me. I didn't even realize when she led me to the car. It's funny, I drove here. Had a valet pick it up for you, she explained, unfazed. The car was set to my favorite 26 degrees Celsius. A bit warmer, actually. That got me talking. So, how do you know so much about my likes? You weren't this familiar with me before. Clara looked at me, her gaze warmer than the car's interior. My throat tightened a bit at the feeling. Unfortunately, my phone buzzed at that inappropriate moment. Carelessly, I opened it to see a message from Khloe. You think Clara will still like you once she finds out you're a fake rich kid? Break up with her. You're still my fiancé. My eyelid twitched. So, she did find out. Back then, I hadn't dealt with the paternity report promptly, leaving it in my bag. Khloe often stashed sweets and milk in there for me. Thinking back, our dynamic had shifted after she must have seen that report. She used to cover for my chores and wait for me every day. She would glance cautiously at my reaction whenever someone teased me about being controlled by her. Once she was sure I wasn't mad, she would smirk proudly. I used to love hearing more of it. Our relationship ending up like this was sad, but it was inevitable. Knowing my background, she had interpreted my kindness as mere ambition, and I had noticed the visible change in her attitude, which eventually led to our mutual disdain. Exhaling slowly, a wave of relief washed over me. The other shoe had finally dropped. Yet, I wasn't the same clueless boy from before. Through years of hard work, I had built my own sanctuary, brick by brick. I had restored my shattered pride and proved that I could protect myself. I calmly showed Clara the chat. She's right. I'm a fake heir. Who knows what the future holds? You might want to reconsider. Her expression remained neutral, her tone light. Mind if I reply? I hesitated, and she took the phone from my hand. Her fingers moved swiftly over the screen. She handed it back with a grin. She had sent, "Idiot. The real heir was the one in the childhood betrothal. What's it got to do with me personally?" She chuckled. I've already cursed her out in my mind plenty of times. I've known this whole time. She had been unsure, but I told her to keep it quiet. I stirred, asking, "Why?" First, it's your secret, your family matter. It's your decision to tell or not. Secondly, it wasn't the right time. It wouldn't have been good for you. I grinned. And now seems to be the right time? She gazed at me, the light catching in her dark eyes like distant stars. Of course. Now you have the power to choose. Your destiny is yours to decide. Casually, does that mean I can choose not to marry you? Clara paused briefly, her tone mellowing. You can. It's not like we had a childhood betrothal. Beyond amused, I laughed aloud. She was only partially wrong. If I avoided an alliance with the Prestons, my parents would surely push for another family connection for their own son. What would await me? Their adopted child. In all fairness, I couldn't just leave the Harrisons either. The debt of raising someone is greater than that of giving birth, and they had never treated me poorly. In fact, they had given me a comfortable life. If they hadn't adopted me, I'd probably be in a much tougher spot now. I did owe them. Besides, from every perspective, Clara was head and shoulders above her peers. I had hit the jackpot. I glanced out the window and said softly, "It's fine as it is now." Through the car window's reflection, you could practically see Clara light up, her lips curving into a smile that she modestly tried to suppress. "Leo," she said, "you've never asked me what I like about you, have you?" I couldn't be bothered to ask. Growing up, I received love notes all the time. People liked my looks, my physique, my discipline. Maybe I was a bit too arrogant. Still, I played along and asked, "So, what do you like about me?" She gave me a sideways glance, a playful smile tugging at her lips. "The answer's in the journal. You didn't read it, did you?" "Seriously, how am I supposed to read French?" When I got home, my parents were waiting for me on the couch, looking happy. They asked me to sit down. My dad said, "Clara's grandmother just called. Tomorrow our families will meet to discuss your engagement to Khloe, probably to finalize things." I hesitated, but then came clean. "Actually, it's more like canceling the engagement." My dad's smile froze instantly. "What do you mean?" my mom asked with a frown. "Leo, did you upset Khloe again?" I looked at them quietly and sighed. "Mom, Dad, you can't hide a secret forever. I've known for a while now that I'm not your biological son." Their faces changed, and they exchanged shocked glances. I continued, "I also know you had a stillborn child, and hoped that this childhood engagement would benefit the family, so you adopted me to take his place." My mom's eyes reddened instantly, caught between memories and nerves. "Leo, we never treated you badly. We've always raised you like our own." My dad stayed silent for a while, then asked seriously, "Did you tell them?" I shook my head, looking him in the eye fearlessly. "No, you haven't wronged me. There's no need for me to go against you. Besides, you gave me a good life for over 20 years. I appreciate that. So if there's a marriage alliance to be had, I'm on board." I continued, and my dad started to relax. But then I added, "But Khloe knows the truth, so she's not interested in marrying me either." That took him by surprise again, his face turning red as he processed it. "So, they know after all." I took a sip of water calmly. "Even if her grandparents find out, they'll only know I'm not biological. You can spin it however you like. Say my dad was so devoted to my mom, and you were afraid she wouldn't handle the loss well, so you adopted me and raised me as your own. People would see that as a noble act." They glanced at each other, a hint of joy in their eyes. After a moment, my dad sighed. "It's a shame the alliance won't work out." His expression revealed he was already considering other families. So I casually suggested, "If not Khloe, there's always Clara." My mom hesitated. "She is exceptional, but her grandfather is going to name her as the next heir. Plus," I added, "we're together now." They immediately lit up, giving me money and making me a late-night snack, just like in the old days when I was the center of their attention. But those days were gone. I used to watch them fawn over my little brother, feeling out of place and unsure of my future. Now, it was better to treat our relationship as a mutually beneficial arrangement. The next day, we visited the Preston family. My dad and Khloe's grandfather talked in the study for a bit. When they came out, they were all smiles. The deal was done. Clara's mom seemed pleased with me too, asking the maid to show me to Clara's room. I couldn't refuse and went upstairs. Her room was just as I imagined, gray and white, clean and tidy. I saw that familiar notebook again, and my heart skipped a beat. Now I understood Clara's earlier cryptic smile. I opened the translation app on my phone and scanned the French text, my expression carefully blank. But I froze in place the next second. To the proud yet kind young man, I adore your dominantly carefree way of making people dye their hair back, your seemingly reluctant generosity in giving shoes to the needy, and the unabashed way you are just yourself. Leo, I'll always love your pride and your freedom. I couldn't help but smile. In high school, a girl in our class had dyed her hair bright red. It was going to hurt our class's overall assessment, which didn't bother the rich kids but could cost scholarships for the less fortunate students. I saw one of our classmates silently crying over it, so I paid the girl to dye it back. She had indignantly asked why. I scoffed. Because you're too ugly for my eyes. She did re-dye it, and later I found chocolate and a thank you note in my desk. I had also given a new pair of dance shoes to a girl who had to give up dancing due to family issues. She pursued her passion because of my support, and eventually became the youngest lead dancer in her troupe. Clara had been silently observing me all this time. Smiling, I felt tears begin to fall. Some people wanted me to be meek and humble. Some wanted to see me fall from grace into the dirt. But Clara appreciated my true self. How could one not be moved by that? Moved. Leo. I heard Khloe's voice from the doorway. I closed the notebook and wiped my eyes with my palm. Turning around, I saw Khloe enter and shut the door behind her. Her dark hair was falling messily over her forehead. Gone was the usual defiance in her eyes. They were shadowed now. Her jaw was tense as she stepped closer to me. You're with her because she's the heir, aren't you? I observed her disheveled appearance with a detached air. So, what if I am? And what if I'm not? Her eyes lit up for a brief moment, and she hurriedly asked, If I got that position back, could we— Why didn't you take it before? Didn't you want it? I circled her like an animal at the zoo. Have you taken a good look at yourself? In terms of ability, character, is there even one point where you beat your sister? Have you been so sheltered that you can't see your own real worth? If the Preston Corporation were in your hands, it would go bankrupt. Don't ruin your family. Why not just keep having fun with Marcus? She silently watched me, tears welling in her eyes as she recalled how I used to tear into her, leaving her utterly defeated whenever she cut school. Back then, it was just deep feelings disguised as harsh words. Now, it was humiliation from an enemy's perspective. Things change. People change too. Everything's over. With a loud click, the door swung open. When Clara saw her, her eyebrows drew into a sharp line. What are you doing here? Khloe's face was tense. She walked up and grabbed Clara's collar. Good job, Clara. I trusted you, and you went after Leo. Didn't you know I've liked him since we were kids? Clara let out a short, sharp laugh and slapped Khloe hard across the face. Your way of liking someone is to humiliate and trample on them? I've learned something new today. Khloe let out a muffled grunt as she hit the ground, blood trickling from her split lip. She wiped it off dismissively, glaring up at Clara. Clara looked down at her with a half-smile. Love isn't weighing pros and cons, nor is it about doubting and testing. Loving someone is unconsciously caring for them and doing everything you can to be close to them. I went overseas for 3 years, and you played all your cards wrong. Pitifully stupid. Khloe weakly murmured, Yeah, I'm really stupid. I was staring blankly at Clara, feeling a slight sting in my nose. She turned her head, her eyes visibly warming as they met mine. "They're discussing our engagement downstairs. Want to come?" I didn't hesitate anymore. I reached out, our fingers intertwining. "Yeah, let's go." The next time I heard about Khloe was a month later. She didn't show up at our engagement party, but that night, an unknown number called me. I was about to get busy with Clara. Her eyes were slightly red, her shirt was unbuttoned, and her fair skin was just irresistible. But the phone kept ringing. Clara wrapped her arms around my neck, watching me with an amused look. With a crying tone, the caller pleaded, "Come to the hospital to see Khloe. After she found out about your engagement, she's been drinking herself senseless, and now she's unconscious." I paused. "And you are?" There was silence for 2 seconds, then a frustrated outburst. "I'm Marcus." I retorted, "Doesn't matter. Aren't you her boyfriend? Why are you calling me? Don't you know I got engaged today? Can you not see that? If you have to, I'll send you some money to get her a fruit basket, okay? I'm busy now." I tossed the phone aside and leaned back in, but Clara huffed quietly, turning her face away. "Aren't you going to check on her?" I smirked. Once we were together, I realized Clara was a little possessive. All those other messages of congratulations from potential matchmaking connections, she noticed them all. She didn't show it, but she definitely took it out on me at night, her antics not stopping until she got the answer she wanted. Tonight, it was my turn to be dramatic. I got up. "You're right. We were childhood friends after all. I should go see her." I was pretending to leave when suddenly the world flipped, and I landed back on the soft bed. Clara's face was serious now, and I laughed, teasing her. She kissed me hard, taking the lead. "You're not going anywhere." Between kisses, I whispered in her ear, "You used to act so cool and distant. You were secretly jealous, weren't you?" She didn't reply with words, but she let the rest of the night tell me just how jealous she had really been.